On. So welcome everyone. In this recording session, we will test the yesterday's price action firstly on the 15-minute. So as you can see, I just replayed the price 30 minutes or 15 minutes before the session starts. And let's begin. So actually, as you can see on the 15-minute, price change character with this huge inefficient movement to the downside, and this was after the 4-hour supply tap and liquidity sweep. So after the liquidity has been swept, price just changed character and created inefficient movement and tapped into a 15-minute demand zone. After this, price slowly levitated back up to the supply zone and barely tapped this zone, but actually didn't tap the zone, but changed character to the downside with inefficient move again. As you can see here was the change of character. And after this, price was slowly levitating back to a fresh and new created supply zone, this one. And after the reaction on this supply zone, price changed character again on the downside, as you can see here. So this means we have a new supply zone. Let's just find that supply zone and mark it. So this could be our right supply zone. And actually, if you take a closer look, this is a flip zone also. So as you can see, we had this 15-minute demand zone right here. And this supply zone flipped that demand zone and changed character to the downside. And price, after the flip and change of character, started to levitate back up to this supply zone. And currently, price is in that supply zone. So yeah, that's for the 15-minute. Actually, we can mark this extreme demand zone down here if we want to. Okay, so let's switch to the 5-minute. So on the 5-minute, I will mark the zones again, or I can just refine the zones if I want to. As you can see, I can refine this 15-minute zone, not much, but it's a refinement. And I can refine this zone also for this doji candle. And yeah, basically that's all. So on the 5-minute, I will mark out the demand zones. As you can see, let's start from the bottom. This was the extreme demand zone that broke structure to the upside here, swept liquidity here, and created inefficiency on the 1-minute. And this zone has liquidity just above. Okay, let's mark out the next zone. As you can see, the next zone will be this one because it broke structure again to the upside. It has liquidity again, and it's swept liquidity and has inefficiency on the 5-minute also. So this will be our next zone. So we have two possible targets or two possible turning points for longs or two possible targets for shorts. We'll see what will happen. And actually, we have this zone right here, but I believe this zone will be inducement for this zone because as you can see, here's double bottoms and liquidity. So it's more likely to price sweep this zone than reverse on it. So I will just keep that way. Okay, and let's switch to the 1-minute, right? So what can we see here? Actually, this movement happened in lunchtime, yesterday in lunchtime. So we had the first step of the 15-minute supply zone. And after the tap of the supply zone, lunchtime changed character here, 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 swept that liquidity trend line from here, and created fake order blocks, fake supply zones here and here, as you can see. But as you may know, we have a lunchtime rule, and lunchtime will sweep all of the order blocks, and it's exactly what happened, as you can see. After price created equal tops in this line, and lunchtime actually swept that liquidity and created a new high here. So let's just play price forward and see what happens. So we are currently in the 1-minute, as you can see, and let's just play a price. Okay, price change character on the 1-minute, as you can see, and New York will be open in 10 minutes. So can you guys please mute your microphone? Thank you. So as you can see, we have a change of character down here. Let's just play a price more. Okay, it closed below. we have this supply zone here that change character on the 1 minute. But I would actually wait for this zone to be broken. So let's just play price. Maybe we'll tap into this zone. Reverse. And the price actually broke that zone and created equal tops right here, just below the supply zone. So I will set my order on the 50% of this zone. So let's just use the gun box and put my limit on the 50% of this zone. And I will set 2-point stop loss. And our first target could be the first 5-minute demand zone I just marked. So this trade will be 1 to 9, barely. So let's play price forward. Let's see what happens. Okay. Price just keep going down. Reverses, created liquidity for this zone here. I will keep my limit here because actually this supply zone changed character first, and this supply zone just broke structure to the downside. It's a decisional one, and this supply zone had liquidity above. So let's just play price. Let's see what happens. Okay, price created liquidity on the downside, so it's one more confirmation for the shorts. Maybe it won't come back. Okay, just that happened. So currently we are in the position. Let's see what happens. Price keeps respecting that supply zone. Actually price created equal tops right here. I will set my stop loss after these lows are broken. So right now the stop loss remains the same. Okay. Okay, and now I will set my stop loss to break even because these lows are broken. Let's see what happens next. Actually, I can look for scaling trades if I want to, because we have this supply zone right here that broke structure to the downside and created an efficient move. So I could set another limit. Sorry, just removing this. So I could set another limit here on the 50% of this candle. Not a long limit, sorry, short limit. With 2-point stop loss again and targeting the same zone. Okay, let's play price forward. Pullback happening. Okay, price swapped the equal tops here with this movement. So all the liquidity have been taken out. Maybe we'll tap into this zone. Let's see. No, actually price broke structure to the downside, so I will remove this order. Okay, let's see what happens. Actually, I couldn't set an order on this zone because, as you can see, this is already mitigated by the candles of the following candles. I mean the wicks of the following candles. So yeah, but we have a clear zone here that created an efficient move again. Okay, that's actually broken. So this is irrelevant. Okay, now we have two zones again, the upper decisional, the upper extreme one and the downer decisional one right here. I could set an order on this block because I believe it will be 1 to 5 risk reward with 1 2 pip stop loss. Let's see. It will be 1 to 4 with 1 to 5. Yeah, my first criteria to entry is that the trade must have 1 to 5 risk reward. And I believe if I would set the order on the down or decisional one, it wouldn't be enough. So yeah, as you can see, it isn't 1 to 5 risk reward. So I wouldn't set an order on this block. So I will just set on the extreme one. Let's see what happens. Play price. Okay, price reacting on the decisional one. Reaction. Okay, and now we are tagged into the trade. again, sorry. So the way like this, and I will just extend this zone also. Let's play price. Okay, and TP hit. So session has just started, and double TP did hit. First one for 1 to 9 risk reward, second one for 1 to 5 risk reward. So overall 1 to 13, 2 to 13 risk reward booked. Okay, let's just close these zones and remove this supply zone. Actually, price stepped into this 5-minute demand zone, and the tap of the zone was caused by this supply zone. So we have this supply zone. This is our flip zone. If price breaks this zone, I will wait for the long entry. If price respects this zone and creates another break of structure and breaks this zone, I will wait for a continuation entry. So we have two scenarios here. The first is to break this zone and look for a long trade. The second one is break this zone, this demand zone, and wait for a continuation short trade. Let's see what happens. Play price. Okay, a reaction on that zone. Actually, I believe price will break this zone. Strong reaction, yes. Another tap, mitigation of the almost 50%. Another reaction, price built up shitloads of liquidity on this line, as you can see. Okay, full supply mitigation. Okay, break. So actually price broke that supply zone with body closer. So we have a flip zone. We have to search for the demand that broke the structure and the supply, and this will be this dodge candle right here. This gave the reaction, and it created inefficiency, as you can see, and it changed character and swapped the liquidity from above. So we have our 3 criteria. So I will set my order on the 50% of this candle right here with 1.5 pips stop loss, and actually I would search for a higher time frame target. So on the 5-minute, this supply zone created the break of structure and the change of character on the downside. So this will be our target. As you can see, here came the impulse movement to the downside market and pushed the price to the downside and change character here and here. So this will be our overall target. Let's switch back to the 1-minute. So yeah, I just target this zone. Let's see what happens next. Okay, price tagged in and actually broke this zone a little bit. It could be a liquidity collect, but let's see if it keeps us in. Yeah, it might be okay, strong reaction, and I wouldn't set my stop loss to break even as until this high breaks. So as soon as this high breaks, I will set my stop loss to break even. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, price might broke this zone. I don't know. Let's see. It's actually fine if it's a loss because we booked 13 risk reward so far in this session, so we can take 1 loss. Okay, so price created triple tops here and swapped those triple tops, and this after the highs has been broken, I will set my stop loss to the break-even point. So our stop loss is currently in break-even. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay, almost hit TP. Pull back, pull back, pull back. Okay, so actually the structure looks like this. So as soon as this high breaks, I will set my stop loss under these lows. But if this high breaks, it just hits TP, so it doesn't really matter. Let's see. Okay, and TP hit for 1 to 6 risk reward. So far we are up for almost 3 to 20 risk reward. So that's really good. Let's see, price just stepped into this supply zone. The overall trend is still extremely bearish, so I will look for short trades, as you can see on the 50-minute. because we had a huge change of character to the downside with this candle, and change of character again and again, and big liquidity build up on this area. So I will wait for the short opportunities. This long was a counter trend trade, but let's see what happens. Actually, we have this extreme demand zone right here that caused the tap of the supply zone and broke structure to the upside and collected liquidity from the buy side here. So this will be our zone. If this zone breaks, I will wait for a short trade. Okay. So price is actually building up liquidity on both sides. As you can see, here's liquidity on the upside and here's liquidity on the downside. So it's a range. So all of the highs and lows will be swept. And as I said many times, it's basically a rule, but let's see what happens. Okay, more liquidity on the upside, more liquidity on the upside, more liquidity, and the sweep of that liquidity happened with this candle. So the demand zone remains the same because as you can see, this is just liquidity. This is a messy structure. So if this zone breaks, I will wait for a short confirmation, but I believe price will tap into this zone and sweep this liquidity on the downside. And after the tap of this zone, it might do a flip or something, or just reverse here and continue the bearish movement. But I will wait for a short trade, as I said. So liquidity is swept here. And actually, if we had a double tops here, as you can see, and price just created the third tap. So we have two scenarios here. The first one is price leaves the highs with an impressive movement, and after it changes character on the downside. Or the second scenario is to tap into this zone and break this zone. If this zone breaks, I wouldn't wait for the sweep of the highs because it broke the extreme demand. So it has enough power to reverse the price to the downside, so it doesn't have to sweep the upside liquidity. But let's see, if it reacts on this demand and turns around, I will wait for the sweep of this liquidity before I enter a short trade. But if this breaks the zone, I will wait for a confirmation entry on. So let's see. Okay, price just swept the downside liquidity from this region, tapped into a demand zone, reaction on that demand zone. Okay. And price actually broke that demand zone. As you can see, it could be a liquidity sweep, but it created double bottoms again. So this liquidity is closer to price, and I believe it will go short from maybe this dodgy candle. It's more likely to continue the bearish movement than sweep the upside liquidity, because we created downside liquidity also, and it's closer to price. So I will just set my limit on this zone, because as you can see, this is the flip zone. This caused the tap and the break of this zone, so this is the right flip zone. Sorry, let me just finish the color. Okay, so let's just put our gam box here on the 50% because the wicks are larger than the whole body. And I will set 1.5 pip stop loss because the 2 pip stop loss wouldn't change the fact that if it's break, then price will go up for the upside liquidity. So I will keep it short because there's no more supply or liquidity needs to be taken out. So I will just keep the 1.5 stop loss, and let's see what price will do. Okay, it actually tagged us in. So we are in the trade. We have to search for a higher time frame target. And actually, we have this 5-minute demand down here. And this is the only left unmitigated area, because as you can see, these wicks are all mitigated. This demand zone is mitigated by this. So this is mitigated. The only unmitigated area left is this demand zone. So this will be our target. So let's just target that demand zone. And that's 1 to 13 risk reward. Let's see what happens. Okay, price created liquidity. So here's triple bottoms. Price fed the liquidity. Okay. I will set my stop loss to break even. So stop loss is in break even because, as you can see, we have a shitty behavior and wicked behavior on these candles. So it's more safe to set stop loss to break even than let it run in with the original stop loss. Let's see what happens. Price is creating a range again, as you can see, equal tops and equal bottoms. Okay, price just barely fed that liquidity. That isn't a real sweep. Okay, more liquidity, more liquidity, more liquidity. Price fed the downside liquidity. Maybe it will come up for the upside liquidity here. Let me just mark it. Okay, it won't come back up. It just keeps breaking structure to the downside. And we are currently in the upper demand zone, as you can see. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, price just broke that demand zone with an impulse movement. And we could actually look for a scaling trade, continuation trade on this candle. So I will just set my limit here with 2-point stop loss because we actually have this upper zone right here and the stop loss will cover it. So this will be 1 to 6. Let's see if it comes back up. No, it actually broke structure and it actually hit TP. So yeah, one more trade hit for 1 to 13 risk reward. And it's actually New York close. New York will close in 30 minutes. So we can look for a long trade after this zone breaks, or we can look for a short trade after this zone breaks. There are always two scenarios. That's why I always say don't predict, just react on what market gives you. So yeah, liquidity built up again. Okay, and price actually broke that zone, but New York will close in 10 minutes. So I wouldn't look for any more opportunities. So the session has ended, and actually we collected, let me just count. We collected 9, 5, 13, almost 20. So we collected more than 30 risk worth, 30% only on this session. So yeah, that's basically the backtesting session. That's how I backtest my trades, my skip days. So yeah, let me know if you liked it. You can unmute yourself, or if it's safer, I will just stop the recording.